Imagine a small, inexpensive device, a cheap mobile phone, shaping the future of an entire nation, driving change at an unprecedented scale. A device that not only connects people, but transforms how they interact with each other, the government, and the world. It reshapes industries, redefines politics, and creates new opportunities that were once unimaginable. Welcome to India, where the humble mobile phone is not just a tool for communication but a catalyst for revolution. In the Great Indian Phone Book, Assa Doron takes us on an extraordinary journey into the heart of one of the most significant technological transformations in human history. It's a transformation that has unfolded not in Silicon Valley or Beijing, but in India, an emerging powerhouse where the mobile phone has become a ubiquitous presence, deeply woven into the fabric of daily life. What makes this story so powerful is that this revolution is happening on the streets and in the homes of millions of ordinary people. Doron, a seasoned anthropologist and expert on South Asian societies, paints a vivid picture of how mobile phones, once seen as a luxury item, have now become an indispensable part of the Indian experience. The way they have permeated every corner of Indian society is nothing short of astounding. In a country where more than 1.4 billion people reside, the mobile phone has evolved into a tool of profound change. From the bustling streets of Delhi to the remote villages of Uttar Pradesh, mobile phones have bridged the vast digital divide, empowering people in ways that were once unimaginable. They have unlocked access to information, made financial services accessible, and created an entire economy of mobile applications, content, and services that cater to an audience of unprecedented scale. But this is not just a story of technology. It's about what these devices have done to Indian society. Doron explores how the cheap cell phone has reshaped the ways people conduct business, participate in politics, and live their everyday lives. Through the lens of mobile technology, Doron provides insight into the challenges and opportunities of a rapidly changing India. Take the story of small-time farmers in rural India. With the advent of mobile phones, farmers can now access weather forecasts, market prices, and agricultural advice with just a few taps. This has transformed the agricultural economy, reducing the dependency on middlemen and allowing farmers to make better-informed decisions. What was once a small-scale, local industry has now become an integral part of the global market. Politically, the mobile phone has democratized information in India. Where once only the elite had access to news and political discourse, now even the most marginalized communities can join the conversation. Social media platforms, news apps, and messaging services have given a voice to millions of Indians who were previously left out of the political process. From election campaigns to social movements, the mobile phone has become an essential tool for political mobilization. And then there's the profound impact on daily life. For millions, the mobile phone is the lifeline to everything from education to healthcare, from entertainment to social connections. It's a window to the world, offering everything from basic knowledge to advanced services, from virtual shopping malls to online classes. Mobile phones have altered how people consume media, interact with brands, and even build relationships. What once required physical infrastructure, whether it was a bank, a school, or a medical clinic, can now be accessed with the press of a button. However, it's not all smooth sailing. Doron also highlights the deep inequalities that persist in the country. While mobile phones have created massive opportunities, they have also exposed the harsh realities of the digital divide. In a country with one of the highest mobile phone penetration rates in the world, many are still left behind. Internet access is not universal, and the literacy rates in rural areas often hinder full participation in the digital economy. Additionally, there's the question of data privacy, as the mobile phone becomes an instrument of surveillance in both the public and private spheres. What makes the Great Indian Phone Book so fascinating is Doron's ability to weave together the personal and the political, the local and the global. He takes us beyond the statistics and tells the human story of how mobile phones are shaping lives, creating new opportunities, and altering the very fabric of society. His insights into how technology interacts with culture, politics, and economics provide a thought-provoking narrative that resonates well beyond India's borders. The mobile phone is often regarded as a simple device, something we all take for granted in our daily lives. But in India, it's so much more. It's a symbol of empowerment, a vehicle for change, and a tool for bridging the gap between the privileged and the marginalized. Doran's exploration of this device goes beyond the technicalities, offering a rich and nuanced view of its social, economic, and political implications. In a country where the majority of the population lives on less than $3 a day, the mobile phone has become a beacon of possibility. The vast, diverse landscape of India, with its deep divides and entrenched inequalities, is now connected in ways that were once thought impossible. A farmer in the remotest village can communicate directly with suppliers and buyers. Entrepreneurs can run entire businesses from their phones, and people can access the world's knowledge at their fingertips. Doran also delves into the cultural impact of the mobile phone. In India, where family and community often take precedence over individualism, the mobile phone has reshaped social norms. It has become an integral part of family life, a way to stay connected across generations and geographies. It's also facilitated a shift in how young people socialize and form relationships, with mobile dating apps and social media platforms offering new ways to meet and interact. The role of the mobile phone in politics is also transformative. In a country with a diverse and often volatile political landscape, the phone has become an essential tool for both politicians and activists. From political campaigns to social movements, mobile phones have enabled rapid mobilization and the spread of information. As Doran points out, this has democratized political engagement, allowing people to voice their opinions, organize protests, and even challenge the government in ways that were once unthinkable. Through Doran's research and storytelling, we gain a deeper understanding of the profound and far-reaching impact of the mobile phone on Indian society. What may seem like a trivial object to many of us in the West is, in fact, a symbol of India's rapid technological and social evolution. It is both a product of and a catalyst for change, a force that is shaping India's future and the future of the world. As we read the Great Indian Phone Book, we are reminded of how technology often has unintended consequences. While the mobile phone has opened up new avenues for business, education, and communication, it has also raised important questions about privacy, inequality, and the future of work. The book challenges us to think critically about the role of technology in our lives and how it shapes the societies we live in. In the end, the Great Indian Phone Book is more than just a story about a device. It is a compelling exploration of how technology can transform not only economies and industries, but also people's lives. It is about how a cheap, everyday object can become a tool for empowerment, change, and progress. It is a tribute to the resilience and adaptability of a nation and a glimpse into the future of global connectivity. So, the next time you glance at your phone, whether you're in the midst of a busy city or sitting in a quiet cafe, remember this. In India, a phone is not just a device. It's a lifeline, a bridge, and a symbol of a country in the midst of a great transformation. Assa Doron has shown us that the phone is much more than a communication tool. It is a powerful agent of change, shaping business, politics, and daily life in ways that we are only beginning to understand. And as the world continues to embrace this mobile revolution, India's story will be one to watch closely, for it offers invaluable lessons about the power of technology to change the world. Introduction: The Phone That Changed India. The authors begin by setting the stage, narrating how the humble cell phone became an unlikely hero in India's modern story. With over 1 billion people and countless socioeconomic divides, India's adoption of cheap mobile technology is nothing short of revolutionary. Doran and Jeffrey paint a vivid picture of how the mobile phone, initially seen as a luxury, has penetrated the farthest corners of the country, cutting across class, caste, and gender lines. The introduction immediately hooks readers by showing the surprising ways in which mobile phones have upended traditional hierarchies. From farmers checking market prices to laborers negotiating work on WhatsApp, the phone is a tool of empowerment and change. The authors promise to delve into how this simple device has transformed business, politics, and everyday life, laying the groundwork for the stories and analyses that follow. Chapter 1: The Mobile Revolution. This chapter dives into the rapid proliferation of mobile phones in India. Doron and Jeffrey explore how India went from being a country with abysmal telephone penetration in the 1990s to a global leader in mobile adoption. The chapter explains how deregulation, falling handset prices, and aggressive competition among telecom providers made mobile phones affordable for the masses. The authors introduce compelling anecdotes, like a vegetable vendor in Delhi who uses her phone to coordinate with suppliers and customers, demonstrating the democratizing effect of mobile technology. The chapter highlights how mobile phones have become indispensable tools for both urban elites and rural laborers, showing the universality of their appeal. Chapter 2: Business Unplugged. In this chapter, the authors focus on how mobile phones have transformed business practices across India. Small businesses and informal workers, who previously relied on word of mouth or middlemen, now use phones to cut costs, expand their reach, and communicate directly with clients. One fascinating story involves a fisherman in Kerala who uses his mobile phone to determine which market offers the best price for his catch, maximizing his profits. Doron and Jeffrey explain how this level of access to information was previously unimaginable for the rural poor. The chapter also discusses mobile banking and payment systems, which have opened new opportunities for financial inclusion. The rise of platforms like Paytm is examined, showing how mobile phones are bridging the gap between formal and informal economies. Chapter 3: Politics on Speed Dial. Mobile phones have become powerful tools in Indian politics, and this chapter vividly illustrates their impact. From election campaigns to grassroots activism, the authors reveal how politicians and citizens alike are leveraging mobile technology to influence and engage with the political process. Doron and Jeffrey delve into how political parties use mass texting, WhatsApp groups, and social media to mobilize voters, spread propaganda, and even manipulate public opinion. At the same time, they explore how ordinary citizens use phones to document injustices, organize protests, and hold leaders accountable. The chapter is rich with examples, including how Anna Hudra's anti-corruption movement gained momentum through SMS chains and social media. This section highlights the dual-edged nature of mobile technology in politics. It can empower democracy, but also enable surveillance and misinformation. Chapter 4: Love and Relationships in the Mobile Age. This chapter takes a more intimate turn, exploring how mobile phones have transformed love, relationships, and social norms in India. The authors share poignant stories of young couples who use phones to communicate in secret, bypassing the restrictions of conservative families and communities. Doron and Jeffrey discuss the rise of missed calls as a unique form of communication in India, often used by lovers to signal affection without incurring call charges. They also explore how dating apps like Tinder and Truly Madly are redefining courtship, particularly in urban areas. However, the chapter doesn't shy away from the darker side of mobile technology. Issues like cyberstalking, sextortion, and the invasion of privacy are examined, showing how the same device that fosters connection can also facilitate harm. Chapter 5: The Gender Divide. While mobile phones have been empowering for many, they also reflect and reinforce existing gender inequalities. This chapter delves into the complex relationship between gender and mobile technology in India. Doron and Jeffrey discuss how access to phones can be a battleground for women, especially in rural and conservative areas. The authors share heartbreaking stories of women who are denied phones by their families, seen as tools of moral corruption. They contrast this with uplifting tales of women's self-help groups that use mobile technology to achieve financial independence and social mobility. The chapter also touches on the role of mobile phones in women's safety, from SOS apps to location tracking. while critically analyzing their limitations and societal implications. Chapter 6: The Rural-Urban Divide. Mobile phones are often seen as a bridge between India's rural and urban worlds, but this chapter highlights the persistent disparities in access and usage. Doron and Jeffrey explore how rural areas, despite adopting mobile technology, face challenges like poor network connectivity and digital illiteracy. The chapter features stories of rural entrepreneurs who use phones to connect with urban markets and migrant workers who maintain ties with their families through video calls. The authors argue that while mobile phones have made significant inroads, the rural-urban divide remains a critical challenge for India's digital revolution. Chapter 7: Language and Identity. This chapter examines how mobile phones have impacted language and cultural identity in India. With its multilingual population, India has seen a fascinating evolution in digital communication, from the use of Romanized Hindi in SMS to the rise of regional language apps. Doron and Jeffrey discuss how mobile phones have become tools for preserving and promoting regional languages, enabling users to communicate in their mother tongues. They also explore the role of emojis, memes, and slang in shaping a new digital culture that is uniquely Indian. Chapter 8: The Dark Side of the Mobile Revolution. No technological revolution is without its downsides, and this chapter confronts the darker aspects of India's mobile boom. The authors discuss issues like phone addiction, cybercrime, and the environmental impact of electronic waste. The chapter includes chilling accounts of phone scams, data breaches, and the spread of fake news through WhatsApp. Doron and Jeffrey also raise important questions about privacy, surveillance, and the ethical responsibilities of telecom companies and governments. Chapter 9: The Future of Mobile India. In this chapter, the authors look ahead, speculating on the future of mobile technology in India. They discuss emerging trends like 5G, AI, and the Internet of Things, exploring how these innovations could further transform Indian society. Doron and Jeffrey end on an optimistic note, emphasizing the potential of mobile technology to address India's most pressing challenges, from education and healthcare to poverty and inequality. They leave readers with a sense of hope and curiosity, inviting them to imagine what the next chapter of India's mobile revolution might look like. Chapter 10: Mobile Phones in the World of Work. This chapter delves into the transformation of work due to mobile technology. Doron and Jeffrey discuss how workers across various industries, from agriculture to the IT sector, are increasingly dependent on mobile phones for daily operations, communication, and even work management. For agricultural workers in the rural heartlands, mobile phones have emerged as crucial tools for staying updated on crop prices, weather forecasts, and market demands, which helps in decision-making and improves bargaining power. This instant access to information has disrupted traditional power structures and transformed India's agricultural economy. The chapter also explores how the gig economy in urban centers has been fueled by mobile phones. Rideshare drivers, food delivery workers, and freelance professionals rely on mobile apps to find jobs, interact with clients, and manage payments. However, the chapter touches on the downside: how precarious employment models have flourished, creating a workforce that is highly dependent on technology, but often lacks labor rights and social security protections. Through real-life anecdotes, the authors paint a vivid picture of how mobile phones have become an essential lifeline for workers who otherwise may not have had access to stable employment opportunities. Chapter 11: The Transformation of Education. In this chapter, Doron and Jeffrey explore how mobile phones are reshaping education across India. The authors start by reflecting on how smartphones have become vital learning tools, particularly in remote or underserved areas, where the traditional educational infrastructure has been weak or non-existent. Mobile phones have allowed students to access online learning platforms, take virtual classes, and use apps that teach English, mathematics, and science, bridging the gap for students who would otherwise face significant barriers to education. The chapter also highlights the innovative ways teachers and educators are using mobile phones to stay connected with students, deliver lessons, and track progress. For instance, rural teachers in states like Rajasthan are using SMS to send homework assignments and provide feedback, helping to overcome logistical challenges posed by poor infrastructure. However, the chapter doesn't gloss over the digital divide, as access to quality mobile-based education is still limited by factors such as income inequality, language barriers, and a lack of technical literacy. Doron and Jeffrey urge the reader to consider the complex reality of mobile technology in education, which, while transformative, can also exacerbate existing inequalities in India's educational system. Chapter 12: Health and Mobile Medicine. The health sector is the focus of this chapter, which examines how mobile phones have become central to providing healthcare in a country where public health systems are often overburdened. The authors explore how mobile phones have revolutionized the delivery of health services, especially in rural areas, by enabling telemedicine consultations, appointment scheduling, and even prescription tracking. One particularly interesting example is how rural health workers use mobile phones to diagnose illnesses by sending pictures of symptoms to doctors in urban centers, who provide immediate advice. Mobile health apps are also being used to track maternal health, monitor diseases like diabetes, and promote mental health awareness. Doron and Jeffrey illustrate how mobile technology is making healthcare more accessible, personalized, and timely for millions who live in remote or underserved areas. However, the chapter also raises critical questions about the quality of care delivered via mobile, the ethical implications of using smartphones for diagnosis, and privacy concerns around patient data. The authors stress the need for comprehensive regulation and education to ensure that mobile health services can fulfill their promise without creating new risks. Chapter 13: The Role of Mobile Phones in Social Movements. The role of mobile phones in social movements is another key theme that the authors explore in this chapter. Doron and Jeffrey highlight how mobile phones have enabled individuals and groups to organize protests, disseminate information, and create movements that challenge existing political and social norms. From the anti-corruption movement led by Anna Hudra to the recent farmers' protests, the authors show how mobile technology, particularly SMS, WhatsApp, and social media platforms, has been pivotal in mobilizing large-scale social action. Mobile phones, by providing anonymity, speed, and the ability to bypass traditional media channels, have given voice to marginalized groups and allowed for the creation of counter-narratives. The chapter also touches on how the government has responded, highlighting instances of surveillance, internet shutdowns, and the use of mobile phones for control and censorship. The authors provide a balanced perspective, acknowledging the potential of mobile phones to enhance democratic participation, but also cautioning about their darker role in surveillance and state control. Chapter 14: The Social Fabric, Community and Networks. In this chapter, the authors explore how mobile phones are influencing India's social fabric. Traditionally, Indian society has been organized into tight-knit communities, with family and caste networks being central to one's identity and access to resources. With the introduction of mobile phones, these community boundaries are being redrawn. The chapter focuses on how mobile phones have helped foster new forms of social connection, connecting individuals beyond their geographic location, caste, or religion. Doron and Jeffrey use the example of diaspora communities who use mobile phones to maintain connections with their families in India, keeping the social fabric intact across vast distances. The rise of social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, the authors suggest, has also altered the way young Indians interact, form friendships, and express their identities. They discuss how phones have become not just tools for communication but also platforms for self-expression and identity formation, particularly among youth. Yet, the chapter also delves into the darker side of digital connectivity, such as the growth of online harassment, fake news, and echo chambers, which threaten to undermine the positive potential of these digital networks. Chapter 15: The Environmental Toll. No conversation about mobile phones would be complete without addressing their environmental impact. Doron and Jeffrey shift the focus of the book to the ecological costs of India's mobile revolution. This chapter examines the life cycle of mobile phones, from production to disposal, and how India's mobile boom is contributing to electronic waste, e-waste. While mobile phones have provided immense benefits to the country, the authors point out that the rapid turnover of devices and the lack of formal recycling processes are creating significant environmental challenges. The chapter discusses the alarming rise in e-waste, as millions of old phones are discarded without proper disposal methods, contributing to pollution and the depletion of natural resources. The authors also provide examples of grassroots efforts to address this issue, such as initiatives to recycle phones or repurpose parts for use in other technologies. While the environmental toll of mobile phones cannot be ignored, the authors suggest that there is potential for innovation and regulation that could mitigate the harm. Chapter 16: The Road Ahead. What lies beyond the cell phone? As mobile technology evolves, this final chapter reflects on what the future may hold for India and the role of mobile phones. Doron and Jeffrey explore the implications of emerging technologies like 5G, AI, and the Internet of Things (IoT), considering how these advances will shape India's digital landscape. The chapter discusses how 5G could potentially revolutionize sectors like healthcare, transportation, and education by enabling faster data transmission and more reliable internet access. AI and IoT are expected to further enhance the role of mobile phones, turning them into even more powerful tools that could automate daily tasks and provide more personalized experiences. The authors conclude by posing a series of thought-provoking questions. Will mobile phones continue to bridge the gap between India's rich and poor? Will the next generation of mobile technology make it even harder for marginalized groups to keep up, or will it offer new avenues for empowerment? The future, as they suggest, is filled with both promise and uncertainty. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new video updates. Happy learning!